And we now want to welcome in author, attorney, and Bentley University professor Stephen Weisman. Thanks so much for joining us here on Newsmax Now. Good to be with you. Now, some more criminal activity happened over the internet recently, this one yielding more than $100 million. Here's New Jersey U.S. District Attorney Paul Fisherman.
For more than 5 years, hackers largely operating in Ukraine repeatedly penetrated the networks and servers of MarketWired, PR Newswire, and BusinessWire. Those hackers stole well over 100,000 confidential news releases before they were distributed.
And this is just 9 people. They were all indicted. Professor, how were they able to do this?
You know, Miranda, that's a great question, because this is something that is the new kind of cybercrime, which is using it, not stealing information or stealing information that they use for, like, attacking a bank. This is information in regard to stock sales. So, for instance, last year a company hacked into a pharmaceutical company, got information, insider information, used that. What's happening here is the same thing. They're getting inside information from these press releases before they get out. It allows them to make trades ahead of the market turning. So, for instance, there was a hack of a press release dealing with Panera Bread dropping its expectations for earnings, and they shorted the stock, made $1 million. But the answer to your question is the key thing. How it's done is the same way that Sony was hacked. It's the same way the White House was hacked, and it's simple phishing, social engineering. They send an email, they lure someone in the company, in this case in the PR companies, to click on those links. That gets the bad guys in there with their malware. And this is where companies just are not doing a good enough job of educating their employees and protecting their data.
Well, let's talk about prosecution for a minute. These hackers reside in the Ukraine, so how can the U.S. attorneys prosecute them?
The hackers were, yes, as you indicated, the hackers are primarily in the Ukraine, the rogue traders in the United States, but arrest warrants have been issued in the Ukraine. The Ukraine is cooperating with this, and it is expected that they will be extradited.
Well, it seems like we're always talking to you about this subject. What needs to be done? It seems like we're always behind. I mean, even Secretary of State John Kerry was on the other day saying maybe his emails are being read by other countries.
Yeah, I thought he was actually almost flippant about that.
Right?
And it's one of these things, well, you know what, Secretary Kerry, if you expect this, and he and I both went to the same law school, so I don't want to be too harsh on him,
right.
Encrypt your data. I mean, that's what you do. You want to have better protection. You want to have better use of your of the security software. But more than anything else, when it comes to email, it should be encrypted, because you have to expect there will be attacks on there. And that's the thing that companies and the government are not doing enough. They're not cooperating enough in sharing the information as to how to protect. But very frankly, it is a relatively simple thing to educate people and isolate information regarding phishing and how this sophisticated malware gets into the computers of companies and of governments. And that's something, there's really no excuse for not doing a better job.
Couldn't agree with you more. Bentley University professor Stephen Weisman, thanks so much for joining us. And don't forget to check out his blog. Just go to scamside.com. Always good to have you.
Thanks, Miranda.
Stay tuned. More to come right here on Newsmax Now. Alan Dershowitz will join Prime host J.D. Hayworth for an in-depth discussion on the Iran nuclear deal. And Congressman Mike Pompeo sits down with Steve Malzberg. That's all coming up.
There's a new story in the news. There's a story in the news. There's a story that's new that's in the news.
And we have your new headlines and punchlines coming up right here on Newsmax Now.